The president is abiding by all conflict of interest laws that are applicable to the president. It's absurd for anyone to insinuate that this president is profiting off of the presidency.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of Financial Engineering, where we talk about white-collar crime, financial shenanigans, and other stuff. We start with the Trump family right here, who recently got into crypto for some reason, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. What we have at the top of the screen is we have the Trump administration that has a vested interest in, shall we say, deregulating the crypto industry. Now, I think it's worth throwing a disclaimer out here. We're not really accusing anyone of any wrongdoing, any crime. So whatever, we're not really accusing anyone of anything here. We're just reading a couple of headlines and then we'll come to our own conclusions. So first, for a bit of context, you need to remember that the crypto industry was kind of in shambles circa 2022, which seems like a lifetime ago. You remember the FTX collapse with Sam Bankman-Fried. And this was one of the most egregious examples of financial shenanigans in the crypto industry, but all the other, or shall I say, a lot of other crypto companies have been catching a lot of flack with allegations of money laundering, rug pulls, stuff like that. They were heavily investigated by the SEC and the CFTC. And this is something to keep in mind because something is drastically going to change once Trump gets into office. Okay, so for context, let's go back a couple of years and see what transpired in the crypto industry. You have a couple of crypto companies right here. And let's see what happened to them before all this came to pass. So what I've done here is I've developed a timeline because I think it kind of helps put things into perspective. Now we're just going to quickly gloss over it just to kind of give you a context of where the crypto industry was circa 2021, 2022. Okay, starting with Binance. Binance is going to be one of the key players in this story. They were under investigation by the Department of Justice and IRS for money laundering and tax evasion. The CEO of Binance, Changpeng Zhao, actually pleaded guilty to some of the charges, and he actually served 4 months in jail until he was pardoned by President Donald Trump. More on that one later. And as mentioned before, FTX with Sam Bankman-Fried filed for bankruptcy in November 2022. And again, this is where a lot of crypto companies were in trouble. It was the so-called crypto winter. Things were not really looking up, right? Coinbase, similarly, they agreed to pay a $50 million penalty to the regulators over allegations that they broke anti-money laundering laws. Kraken, similar thing. Binance pled guilty and paid a $4.3 billion fine. That's billion with a B, in relation to violation of the US Bank Secrecy Act, failure to register as a money transmitting business, and the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. So, in other words, they've been doing a lot of shady shit. And like I mentioned, Zhao was actually sentenced to 4 months in prison after pleading guilty to violating US money laundering laws. Okay, and here is where we arrive at our first turning point in the story. So Biden administration, I'm not a particular fan, but what they did do is they were cracking down on the crypto shenanigans that were really rampant in the industry. And fast forward to 2024, Trump announces that his sons will be entering the cryptocurrency marketplace with a new venture called World Liberty Financial. And here is where we can actually get back to our canvas. And so now with the background story in place, let's see what actually happened. So in September 2024, Trump announced that they would be launching World Liberty Financial, their own personal crypto company. Okay, The founders were the Trump family, the Witkoff family, and they're also going to be playing a role here. Now, Steve Witkoff is actually part of the Trump administration, which is interesting. What's important to note is that Trump family is going to be receiving 75% of profits from selling tokens, WLFI tokens, and they also get a cut of the stablecoin profits. So basically what you need to know is that this is a vehicle, a company through which a lot of money is going to be flowing back and forth, and in exchange Trump is going to be a bit more lenient on the crypto industry, and he's also going to be involved in a lot of other business deals. So keep in mind, World Liberty Financial, Trump's company, or I should rather say company managed by Trump's sons, Eric, Donald Trump Jr., and to an extent Barron Trump as well. So this is where our story kind of begins in earnest. Trump launches a crypto company, and he also announces that the US is going to be, quote, the crypto capital of the world moving forward. Trump, once he got into office, he got to work immediately. And one of the first things he does, okay, within hours of taking office, he rescinds executive order that governs ethics commitments by the executive branch. That's quite something. A couple of days later, he signs a presidential action promoting the growth of digital assets that involves cryptocurrencies and starts nominating government officials to fulfill his goal. Which government officials are we talking about? So remember, there's going to be some shuffling within the administration, and some spots in the regulator space are going to be filled with people who are obviously loyal to Trump and who are also very pro cryptocurrency. So let's take a look at a couple of them. So we have David Sachs, aka the Crypto Czar. We have Paul Atkins, who is going to be at the helm of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Noteworthy is the fact that at the time of the appointment, he owned $6 million worth of crypto holdings in his various businesses. It's also interesting that Michael Selig, who is going to be at the helm of the CFTC, also worked with Paul Atkins previously. Before he got a job at the head of the CFTC, he represented cryptocurrency industry clients, including eToro and Paradigm. So this is just one of the many examples of the revolving door policy, where officials work for a certain industry, certain business, and then they get a job as a government regulator overseeing those same businesses. And it also works in reverse. Government officials get jobs in businesses that they oversaw before. So it's a common story. So nothing new under the sun here, really. We have Howard Lutnick, who we're not really going to go into right now. Todd Blanche also. April 2025, so again, very soon, he disbanded the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team, and he also had several $100,000 invested in cryptocurrency. So no conflict of interest here. Jared Kushner, we're not really going to be touching this one for now. So what I'm showing you right here is that Trump basically appointed all the people who have some sort of a vested interest in promoting cryptocurrency, deregulating cryptocurrency, or they have stake in the industry. And these are the same people that have to now oversee and regulate the crypto companies. And here we have a couple of companies that most of them, I didn't put all of them on the screen, but there's a lot more. But here are a couple of just a couple of examples. We have Kraken, we have Coinbase, we have Gemini, we have Crypto.com, we have Ripple, and we have Binance. So all of these companies have in some way benefited from the Trump presidency by getting their lawsuits revoked or reaching some sort of a settlement with the CFTC and SEC. And they've also been giving money to the Trump campaign, or they've been investing in his other business ventures. So let's just let's just see how this one looks. Okay, let's start with Kraken. Okay, Kraken donated $1 million to the Trump campaign, and at the same time, around March 2025, the SEC drops the lawsuit against Kraken. Similarly, Gemini, the company that's run by Tyler Winklevoss, who also donated to the Trump campaign with investing in his ballroom project. Again, we're not really going to be touching this one, but just throwing it out there. CFTC drops the lawsuit against Gemini March 2025. Coinbase, again, same thing. SEC drops the lawsuit against Coinbase in February 2025. Crypto.com invested $11 million in Trump campaign. Ripple, another crypto company, invested in the White House ballroom. And now we have Binance, probably the most egregious example of currying political favors in exchange for something. Changpeng Zhao, as I mentioned, he actually served 4 months in prison after he pleaded guilty for violating anti-money laundering laws. He served 4 months in prison, and then he was given a presidential pardon by Donald Trump because the persecution against Changpeng Zhao was, quote, just a Biden witch hunt, basically, so he gets a pass. Why is this significant? Why is this the most significant out of all of these? So, okay, we know how lobbying works, obviously. This is nothing new, but why is this particular case so freaking egregious? It has to do with a certain Emirati sheikh by the name of Tanun bin Zayed Al Nahyan. I'm not really pronouncing this one correctly, I'm sure. Forgive me for this one. Here we get back to World Liberty Financial, which is, again, Trump's crypto company, and Sheikh Tanun. Let's just call him Tanun for the time being. Now, this is a very, very shady guy. Again, probably a whole other rabbit hole. We're not really going to go too deep into it, but for the purpose of this particular video, something that you have to know is that he invested $500 million into Trump's crypto company. $500 million. And he did it through one of his subsidiary companies called Ariam Investment, January 16th, 2025. And when asked about this, Donald Trump said the following.
Mr. President, the Wall Street Journal reported that the royal family of Abu Dhabi invested hundreds of millions of dollars in your World Liberty Financial. Can you explain why you decided to take that investment? Was that a transaction?
Well, I don't know about it. I know that crypto is a big thing and they like it. A lot of people like it. The people behind me like it. My sons are handling that. My family is handling it. And I guess they get investments from different people, but I'm not. I have all I can handle right now with Iran and with Russia and Ukraine and with all the things we're doing.
Okay, so Trump had no idea that a certain sheikh from the Middle East gave his sons $500 million freaking dollars. He had no idea about it because he doesn't really have any vested interest here. So why do I doubt Trump's claims that he doesn't really know about the $500 million deal? It mainly comes down to the fact that these guys are pretty chummy, right? And we're going to break it down right now. So like I said, this is quite a shady figure. We're not going to go through his whole backstory, but suffice it to say that he's been friendly with the Trump administration and with Jared Kushner, among other people, and they've had certain business deals before. And this guy is a big deal in the UAE. Okay, so again, we're not going to go through the whole backstory, but here's an interesting tidbit. In 2024, Tanun's company and the Qatar government put $1.5 billion deal into an investment company owned by Jared Kushner. Isn't that interesting? Tanun also owns an investment company, Ariam Investment. This is the company that he used for the $500 million deal. And here is the kicker. Tanun's company, MGX, has a $2 billion investment in Binance, a cryptocurrency company that we've talked about before. The same one that's led by Chengpeng Zhao, the same guy that got a presidential pardon from Donald Trump. One other interesting tidbit is that Tanun is also mentioned in the Pandora Papers, which is a whole other rabbit hole, which again, we're not going to go into right now, but let's just say that the guy has a lot of shady business deals going on with the Kushners, with the Trumps. So when Trump says, okay, I have no idea about the deal because I'm kind of busy with other things, I'm kind of skeptical about the whole situation. So we're going to, again, gloss over the guy's past and the backstory. Let's just focus on the AI chips deal that we've mentioned before. Under the Joe Biden administration, Tanun was actually trying to get advanced AI chips to the UAE because the Emirates and other Gulf states are kind of shifting away from the fossil fuels, and they're trying to whitewash, greenwash their image and kind of present themselves as this technologically advanced society that is going to be focusing and investing heavily into the green energy of the future, the technology, the AI, all that stuff. And to do that, they need chips, right? They need advanced AI chips, which they did try to procure during the Biden administration. But the deal was blocked because they thought that those same chips could end up in China, right? Tanun's company G42, one of his companies, has close ties to the Chinese technology firms, including Huawei, and this is why the deal never actually got through. That changed when Trump got into office, right? On March 18th, 2025, Donald Trump hosted Sheikh Tanun at a dinner at the White House, where he met with various figures, CEOs, to discuss business strategy, right? So they've been talking about their business deals, and all of a sudden Trump has no idea that he got a $500 million investment from Tanun, right? So again, I kind of doubt it. They've been talking about a lot of stuff, obviously, but they were also talking about acquiring the advanced AI chips. And here they are in the White House. Also interesting, Sheikh Tanun became a business partner with Steve Witkoff and the Trump family. Steve Witkoff was actually a diplomatic envoy for the Trump administration to the Middle East, not for nothing. And also in May 2025, Zach Witkoff announced that Tanun is committing to put $2 billion into World Liberty Financial, right? So the guy is investing $2 billion into the Trump's crypto company, but all of a sudden Trump has no idea because his sons are handling it, whatever. Shortly thereafter, so again, let's just pay attention to the timeline. May 2025, the guy invests $2 billion into Trump's company. Shortly thereafter, the Trump administration agrees to transfer the world's most advanced and scarce computer chips to the Emirates, with many expected that the chips would end up in Tanun's company G42. Remember, this is the same G42 company that has close ties to China, which should be like our mortal enemy or whatever, but okay. Some National Security Council officials raised national security concerns that the chips would end up in China. In April 2025, Trump fired 6 Security Council officials, paving way for David Sachs. David Sachs is the crypto czar that we've mentioned previously, to take over the chip negotiations. Convenient. By mid-May 2025, David Sachs, Witkoff, and Sheikh Tanun had successfully negotiated the increased chip exports to the Emirates despite the opposition from top American officials. Interesting. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this. If you like this format with the financial deep dives, let me know in the comments and tell me which topic you want me to cover next. Is it Trump's ballroom project, Jared Kushner's business empire, or something else entirely? Alright, catch you in the next one.